Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it happened between my father and his twin brother. So it is my own confession. It is very strange because I am used to share other people's confessions. Now I want to share my own small confession. So my confession, it goes on like this. When my father was still alive, as well as his twin brother, when they were both still alive, there was this other time when my father, he got so sick from a very strange illness. And when my father got so sick, what will happen to him is that sometimes he will stop breathing for a couple of hours, for minutes, maybe around 35 minutes or so. Then he will regain his consciousness again. But when he was not breathing, when people would touch him, they would actually say that he's already dead. His feet would have gone cold, his whole body. Then it happened that my father's twin brother's wife later came and confessed everything that was happening. This was after she had said that she wanted a separation from my father's twin brother because of the charms that he was using. She was really scared because he wanted to become a ritualist at that time. So my father's twin brother, what he will do is that he had this other hunting knife. It had a wooden casing. So each and every time when he would remove the knife from that wooden casing, then my father will die. He would do this ritual each and every night. It then happened that my father's twin brother's wife woke up. Maybe the charms, they were not as powerful as they used to be when he started this thing of wanting to become a ritualist. She woke up and she saw everything. And then he threatened her with that same knife. He threatened her and he said that this knife is going to kill you and I'm going to use your blood. Before this confession, before my mom had been given this confession, what used to happen at that place where we used to stay, my father, when he will die, my mom will start praying. Then my father will rise up again from the dead. Then my father will be raised up again from the dead. Then there was this other night. It was quite a strange night because it was really windy. There was a storm that was approaching. Then it started raining. It rained so hard. That house that we used to stay at, the roof, it was an asbestos roof. The way that it was raining, it seemed as if the rain actually wanted to break the roof. It was too loud and scary at the same time. As it was raining like that, then we started to hear some strange sound that was outside, as if there were wild animals that were having a stampede. But these animals, they were having that stampede as they were running around the house. And it seemed as if these were not your normal animals. They were more like very large animals, like an elephant or so. This continued until my father died. At that time when this thing happened, I was grade 5. I was too young to understand what was going on. When my father died, it was me, my 2 sisters, and my other adopted sister. She was around about 3 months at that time. Then my mom and my big sisters, they started praying. I was just there, not even understanding what was going on. When they were praying, that was when my father was raised up again from the dead. Immediately when he started breathing again, the rain stopped. The rain just stopped. Then there was a knock. This was not like 10 minutes later, just a few seconds when the rain had stopped. It was still windy. Then my father's twin brother, he then knocked on the front door. And then we opened up for him. When we opened up for him, the strange thing that happened was that he had his hunting knife. We didn't even know that this was the hunting knife that he was using at that time. He was holding it. He then said that this was for his protection as he was traveling from his place coming to the place where we were staying. He had this old bicycle. They used to call them peri-peri, the one that doesn't have brakes. You actually use the pedal to brake when you want to brake or to stop. But what surprised us was that his clothes, he wore this very big jacket, a dust coat. It was dry. The shoes were dry. The bicycle was dry. He left the bicycle in the kitchen. It was dry, as if he had magically appeared. And on that night, it was raining. It was like a storm. But how he had managed to get to our house, and being that dry, we could not even understand. My mother then asked him what was the meaning of him visiting us. He then went to the bicycle and he started offloading the firewood that he had on the carrier of his bicycle, and he said that it was firewood that was supposed to be used on my father's funeral. This was his twin brother who was saying that. After that, he then returned. Then my father got better. He then fell so sick immediately. He was having these hiccups until he passed away. And the confession was that he had this blade that he was using because he had gone somewhere. He wanted blood money, so they needed my father's blood so that he can start making money. But he could not achieve his goal. As strange as it is, that is my own confession. Now let us move over to this other message that I received from our dear sister. The message reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashey, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? My brother, I am a woman. I actually have grandkids. All of my kids, they have all gotten married, and my daughters, they have been married. And as for one of my sons, he is the only one who gives me a lot of sleepless nights because no matter what I try to do, he cannot get married. I have tried to untie the charm that I once used because at that time I didn't want my son to be married, but I cannot do it because of the spirit of his late wife. What happened to me, Brother Nashey, is that my son, he gave me a temptation that I could not. What happened to me is that my son, he gave me a temptation. He brought to me a girl that he had impregnated, a girl that I didn't like at all. I wanted my son to get married to this other young woman whom I knew that was going to treat him very well, but he had made his choice. When he brought this young woman to me, I then went to this other prophet who assisted me. But I saw that the way that the prophet was assisting me, I didn't like it. I then went to this other traditional healer. When I went to that traditional healer, I told him my own story. And he gave me a chicken. He said that, woman, this chicken that I am going to give you, your daughter-in-law right now is pregnant. So this chicken, it is going to have an egg that will be growing at the same rate that a pregnancy will be growing. You are going to dump this chicken in the mountains close to your village. Then it will be roaming around the forest as long as she is pregnant. Then on the night that this chicken that I am going to give you is going to lay its egg, that is the same night that she is going to die, because this chicken, as it will be laying its egg, this egg that would have stayed in its body for a very long period of time, it will be so big that the egg will kill the chicken, and your own daughter-in-law is going to die in that same process. Brother Nashey, after I had been given that hen and the charms, I then went and I used those charms and I dumped that chicken in the forest. When my daughter's pregnancy progressed, when it came time for her to go and give birth, she died. And the reason as to why she died, it was because I was told that I could not choose only one rule to these charms that I had been given. It's either I had to lose my grandson or I had to lose my daughter-in-law. I then chose to lose my daughter-in-law, and I am the one who raised the child that she left behind. When she gave birth to her son, just like the egg that that chicken was carrying was too big, so the child that she was carrying, he was also big, but not very big. When she gave birth, she lost a lot of blood, and that is how she died. When she died, I started to see her ghost. I approached the healer. When I approached the healer told me that I had to quickly do something before her spirit will come and attack me. She said that now it is the time, the traditional healer said that now this is the time for me to assist you, because if we wait any longer, the spirit is going to be very strong. Now the spirit is filled with bitterness. We can actually defeat it. But I didn't want to lose any of my livestock, because at that time he had told me that it will require a lot of my livestock so that he can assist me. So I refused. Brother Nashey, what happened was that I then started to see the ghost of my daughter-in-law. The day that I started to see the ghost of my daughter-in-law, it was when I was with my other grandkids. When I was with my grandkids, one of my granddaughters said, "Can you see that woman?" I said, "Which woman?" She then said that, "I see there is this woman that is going to church." My granddaughter thought that she was one of those women that wear those white garments, the one from the white garment churches. I then said, "Where? Point at this woman that you said you saw." She then pointed in the direction of the graveyard, where we have our graveyards, in the direction of the fields, and immediately I knew that she didn't see a woman that was going to church, but she had seen the spirit of my late daughter-in-law. When we went to bed, then there was this other night when I was lying in bed with my husband. I then started to feel that there was something that was with us in my bedroom. You know, like when someone is playing around with their torch, like the light will be dancing around following the movement of the hand. Then, Brother Nashey, when I woke up, I saw that there was a light that was dancing on the walls. Then I felt some movement. I heard some movement close to the door. When I looked, I then saw there she was, my daughter-in-law. Brother Nashey, when I saw that it was my daughter-in-law that was there, she then opened up her stomach area, and I saw that there was nothing inside her stomach. She then started to pull, and she started pulling, and I saw that out of her body, she was actually pulling my son. She then disappeared. I kept on returning back to that healer, who told me that he was going to give me some soil that I had to place on her grave, and we were going to hear what his spirit was going to require from me. I then went late at night. It was really scary. When I went there, I was scared because already I had seen her spirit, and I had to go to her grave alone at night. But I had to do what I had to do to fight for my life. I walked until I had reached the place where her graveyard was at. I then knelt down and I said, "Oh, my daughter-in-law, it is I, your mother-in-law. I have wronged you, but as per our custom, this thing that I am doing, it is not even allowed for a mother-in-law to kneel down before her daughter-in-law. But I have come here to apologize to you." That was when I heard a voice that was speaking from within her grave. This was the voice of her spirit speaking with me. She then said, "What do you want from me?" And the voice started laughing. And I then said, "Can we reason together? Can you tell me what you want so that you can stop tormenting me?" She then said that, "I want your son." I agreed, Brother Nashey. After I had agreed, she then said, "How can I trust you?" I asked her what exactly she wanted. She told me that on this other day, my grave is... She then said that I am going to open up my grave, but I will show you and I will reveal to you the day that my grave is going to mysteriously open up. What I want you to do is that amongst one of my husband's shirts, I want you to take one of his shirts and bring it to me. And I am going to tell you what you are supposed to do with that shirt. I then agreed and I said that was fine. I then returned back to my homestead. It then happened that on this other day, when my grandkids were busy heading the goats, going to the pastures with the goats, they came back running and they were saying that the grave is opened. Something has happened to the grave. And immediately I knew that she wanted me to go and throw the shirt that belonged to her husband, the one that she had chosen amongst his clothes. I had already taken it and I had hidden it somewhere. When the night came, then I went there. So me and my husband, we then rushed to our daughter-in-law's grave. And I said to my husband, do not tell anyone, because if you tell anyone that this is the mysterious thing that has happened, remember that we have already lost our livestock, because when she died, their relatives came and they demanded that we pay them before they could allow us to bury her. So we had already paid them some money in form of cattle. So we had lost some of our livestock. My husband then agreed. We then spoke with our grandkids and we gave them some money. We said, go to the shops and buy some sweets, whatever that you want to buy. But remember, anyone who is going to tell anyone about this thing that has happened, we will never give you any money. So our grandkids ran off to the shops. I then returned back home with my husband. Later that night, in the evening, I then took my son's shirt and I threw it in the grave. Brother Nashey, I then saw that there was a spirit that came and that spirit started filling up that grave. So on top of my daughter-in-law's grave, we had placed these stones around the grave. That spirit started lifting the rocks. I could see the rocks and the stones as they were being lifted in the air. Then they were being placed on top of my daughter-in-law's grave. After that, I then returned back home and life continued as normal. But then my son started complaining. He kept on complaining and he told me that there was something that was wrong with his love life. And I knew that he was going to complain. So all of these years, Brother Nashey, I have watched my son. He has suffered. He cannot get married to anyone. He cannot be in a relationship to anyone. He cannot be in a relationship with anyone because of the spirit of my daughter-in-law. I married him off to the spirit of his late wife. There is one of his shirt that is buried inside the grave of his late wife. I do not know what I am supposed to do. As for these charms, I do not know what to do with these charms because the man who gave me these charms has since passed away. As for that man's kids, they cannot do anything. They are just faking it. They are just eating people's money. I once went there and I spoke with them, but they failed to help me. I do not know what to do, Brother Nashey. I am just watching my son as he is suffering. My son is suffering a lot. I want him to get married. My son cannot get married because he is already married off to his late wife's spirit. Yo, dear listeners, right there was a message that I received, a message that was sent to me by one of our dear listeners. Africa, yo.